Should I tell my friend that we have a kid together? I slept with my best friend while we were in high school. We always joked about how we were friends with benefits, and it was strictly just friends having fun. He didn't know at the time that I was desperately and madly in love with him. The last time we had sex, I did end up getting pregnant. I had our baby and put him up for adoption as we were both young, and I didn't want to obligate him to me or make him take a different path in life. These are things that he had freaked out about previously when his girlfriend had a scare. Many years later, about 6, he confessed to me that he always loved me and that he thought he had no chance because I said we were just friends with benefits. Anyway, I've been in contact with our son, and he wants to know more of his dad. Our son knows that his dad doesn't know about him. So I guess my opinion is, should I tell my best friend after all these years? I'm afraid to tell him since he has a wife and 2 kids now. Update. I just got off the phone with my friend and I told him everything. Apparently, he knew that I was pregnant. My friend had let it slip one time. He thought it was his since he knew that I was only sleeping with him. He didn't know that I had the baby, but said he was happy that there's a part of us together out in the world. He said he would love to have a relationship with his son and wants me to make arrangements for all of us to meet. Thank you all for your perspectives and advice. This went way better than I was expecting. Update number 2. I'm flying out this weekend to speak with both my best friend and his wife. In particular, his wife wanted to speak with me, and I thought it would be best if we did it in person. This is our first time meeting, and I will keep you updated. Then in the comments section, OP provided more information and said, I want to hopefully provide some clarity to the whole situation. I was a senior at 16. I skipped some grades, and my best friend, let's call him Bobby, was a junior. He was 17. I have known him since I was 8. My parents were not around a lot, and when they were gone, I would stay at Bobby's house. That's why his mom and I are so close. She has been both of my parents at times. Cutting her off and limiting communication just isn't in the cards for me personally, as she is someone I consider family. After I graduated, I moved to a different country to go to college, which eventually I did after having our son. Some of the factors that played into the adoption route was fear, not having anything to provide our son, and addiction. I still have a tendency to try to protect him when I can, and left out the addiction part. Bobby was heavily using by the time I graduated and was stealing from his mom and on the streets for a week at a time. I understand that I did take his choice away from him, I get that. But please see it from my side as well though. I was 16 and all of these things were happening. I knew no matter what, I needed to get away from the environment to make a sound choice, and I did leave as soon as I was able to. He heard from my friend talking to someone else, and they said something like, "Did you hear she was pregnant?" And he had assumed it was his, and that I terminated the pregnancy, which is why he never talked to me about it. He confessed 6 years ago while he was single and I was in a relationship that he had always loved me. I took it as he was in love with me back then when we were teenagers. We are both married to other people now and are both happy in our own marriages and lives that we have built separately. He has 1 child from before his marriage and 1 child with his current wife. Plus, of course, our son. He has been married for 1 year and I've been married for 5 years. Bobby has been sober for 3 years now, the longest he has been sober. Then in the comments section, OP replied to multiple questions on if her friend knew that she was pregnant and said, "I moved out of the country, so he never knew that I was pregnant. Plus, no, I was about 3 months pregnant when I graduated from high school and moved out of the country. So he never knew that I was pregnant or had a kid. Plus, I did not see him for 2 years after that, but we've always stayed in touch through phone calls, messages, Skype, FaceTime, snail mail." Then OP provides more details on her friend's feelings for her and said, 6 years after high school, he admitted to loving me. It was important to me because I was protecting a friendship, and I think if I had known that he loved me then, I would have told him when I was pregnant. 12 years after having our child, he is now married with kids. I am married too. I do know that his wife doesn't like when we're in contact with each other, and I try to respect that boundary. Then OP elaborated on if she has a relationship with her son who she gave up for adoption and said, "His parents and I have a really good relationship. They know everything and wanted me to have a relationship with my son. They couldn't have kids of their own, and I cannot have kids now after my birth to him. I'm very blessed that they chose my son, and that I have such amazing people in my life. They are a dream come true given all the circumstances. They chose to let me have a relationship with my son, and I know it's because of their choice that I've had every opportunity in my life to be a mom, to have a career, to be able to provide for my son. I don't ever lose sight of the power that their choice has." And finally, OP elaborated on if she had feelings for her friend or not and said, I feel like we've been through a lot together, and I'm thankful to have him as a friend, but I don't still have the feelings I once had for him. The feelings have evolved and changed into just always hoping for the best for him and continued sobriety. Our conversations now consist of us telling each other, miss you, hope everything is well, how is the family, etc. I feel like people blew the dynamics of our friendship way out of proportion. Again, as I've said many times in this thread, I have moved on and have done so many years ago. I'm happily married and have been for 5 years. I don't take my commitment to my husband lightly, nor would I ever do anything to jeopardize the life that we have built together. Update: my talk with my best friend's wife, Wendy, was very enlightening. I did not know that so much had not been shared with Wendy from my best friend, Bobby. Wendy and I spoke for hours, both about mine and Bobby's past, as well as the current situation. Things Wendy was unaware of. 1. I've been married for 5 years. 2. I've known Bobby and his mom since I was 8. 3. That I practically had lived with Bobby and his mom for 8 years. 4. My parents are not in the picture and his mom is the closest thing that I have to a mom. And 5. That I'm not his other son's biological mom like she had been led to believe. The last one literally had me in a spiral, and there is so much to unpack there. I'm not sure why she was led to believe that, but when I asked questions about it, she said she's just been told what she's been told by other people and the family. After our private talk, our husbands joined us, and I shared all of the whys and reasoning behind the decisions that were made. Bobby said that if I had come to him back then and told him, he most likely would have asked me to terminate the pregnancy, or he would have opted out of being involved, given the severity of his addiction and his mental state. He said that he was happy that he is now in a place to be able to have a stable relationship with our son, if our son wants to have that relationship with him. He also said that he understands why I made the decisions I made, because he was not in a good place. We were not in a place where we could have raised a child, and that it wasn't an environment to be in for both a child or for myself. Again, I'm just so thankful that despite all the years and things that we have been through, that he is able to understand the choice that was made. And I am so thankful that he is now sober and in a healthy mindset. We all set some sort of boundaries and have discussed keeping communication via text so we can all see what is being said. Wendy and I both felt that it was not necessary for Bobby and I to meet together with our son unless he has asked for that specifically, like if he has questions for the both of us. In my opinion, Wendy was very understanding, especially after everything she learned from our conversation prior to this. Wendy and I exchanged numbers and will remain in contact. Then in the comment section, OP elaborated on Bobby's second child that he had with a different woman prior to his marriage with Wendy, and if the second child thinks OP is his mom, and said, I don't think so. My husband and I are his godparents, and he did live with us for about a year when he was 2, but I don't think Bobby would tell his son that I'm his mom, or at least I would hope not. And yes, she, the child's birth mother, is completely absent from his life. She cheated, then left everything behind, including their son. When Bobby went back into rehab, my husband and I took care of their son. I did get some clarity. She said that both Bobby's half-siblings had mentioned that I was his son's mom because of pictures they had seen with us together, and that they had assumed that I was his mother. Apparently, when Bobby is asked about his son's birth mom, he tells everyone he doesn't want to talk about it. So from what I can gather is that since he does not want to talk about it and there are only pictures of me with him as a baby, there was an assumption made from a few parties. Bobby is now opening up more to Wendy about it. And finally, OP elaborated more on her son's adoptive parents and how it came to having a great relationship with them while also being present in her son's life, and said, It's a lot to put into a few posts. There are so many different dynamics that I've been trying to explain. My son's adoptive parents are close to me, and I have known them forever. At the time, they were my parents' closest friends. When I was not living with Bobby's mom, I was living with them. Around the time of my pregnancy and even before, they had struggled with getting pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant and had made the decision, I knew they would be the perfect family in the way that they loved and cared for me, even when I wasn't theirs to love and care for. Once I decided the path I was taking and they were on board, they were asked to relocate for work, and I joined them in their relocation. When I say I'm truly blessed for my son's adoptive parents, I truly mean it because I know all the stars in the universe aligned for everything to happen the way it did. Plus, honestly, they're the most amazing humans. I could go on forever about how selfless, caring, and generous they are. They are literal saints who walk the earth, and I will forever be in awe of them, and my son knows just how I feel about his parents. So, Bobby seems to have left out a few details to his wife, but it seems like everything worked out in the end. I think for everyone's sake, it's probably best that everything does happen through text message just so that everything's documented. We've read enough stories, and speaking of that, I did kind of think at the start that maybe there were some feelings still between them at the current point in time, but OP elaborated, no, I've been with my man for 5 years, I got a family, Bobby's been with his wife for 2-3 years, all right, and he's got a family and kids, and then other kids, and then now a new kid, but you know what, everything worked out. Even though it's a tricky situation, it's not a messy one. But anyway, next story. Story number 2. My doctor tried to kiss me. This happened yesterday, and I'm still processing what happened. I'll keep this short. Excuse any formatting errors since I'm on mobile. I, 26F, was finally able to get a new family doctor after having moved to a new city. It had been a long time since I had a visit and was desperate to get some help for various problems that had been making life difficult. At the beginning, the doctor was more than helpful. His expertise and knowledge made me feel relaxed, and maybe this was my first mistake. As I got more comfortable, so did he, as he started making more and more sexual remarks, saying how I seemed so passionate, even going as far to say, "I'm sure you like to command in most situations." Then, it all went downhill. He told me to take off my shirt, since he wanted to inspect my chest. I had assumed this made sense due to some hormonal issues I had, but looking back on this, I'm not so sure. He proceeded to make me more uncomfortable, commenting on how, if I'm anxious without a shirt, next time he'll take off my underwear. He proceeded to, and God, this is hard to write, pinch my nipples to see if there was any secretion, but alas, I'm not pregnant. And even if this was true, he did this for an odd amount of time. He repeated the fact that I liked to command from earlier, adding this time, "I'm in command now," pausing for me to confirm this statement, all while I was shirtless. The story does not stop here. After having seen my tattoos, he was adamant in showing me his own. He took off his shirt and made me touch his biceps, insisting on talking about his tattoos. As I was dressing, he told me, "This situation, it made you wet, didn't it?" As I didn't respond, he kept on looking at me, laughing to confirm it as I pathetically tried to clothe myself. In the end, he looks at me with his arms wide open and says, "I'll give you this medicine for free now if you give me a kiss." I look at him confused and he comes towards me, trying to hug me, and I have to physically push him off, telling him I have a partner. So he just replies that next time I'll feel more relaxed and it'll be our little secret. I've left out some details, mainly because admitting this to myself is already hard enough, and posting it online to public scrutiny is more than I'm usually used to. However, I need to tell someone because I cannot stand this mental image any longer. If you're still reading this and wondering why I didn't run away, let me tell you, I was so fearful and confused, I didn't know what else to do. Some may understand, but never have I hated myself more for not reacting. I wish I would have yelled at least, done something. I am so sorry. After this whole ordeal, I feel dirty, used, pathetic. The only thing I can assume as to why I didn't react earlier is kind of like a frog in slow boiling water. I guess I was too naive. Then, in the comments section, one user said, "If you can manage, I strongly consider at least filing a complaint with the medical board. It will at least go on his record. You may have a legal case. You could talk to an attorney." I am afraid nothing will be done. In my country, legal cases against medical professionals are so hard to win. I'm afraid of putting myself against a monolith. The one thing I thought I could do was talk about it so it won't happen to anyone else. Then user 2 commented and said, "Doctor here, please report this guy. Inappropriate is the understatement of the year. This guy is taking advantage of his patient's trust and he SA'd you. As a patient, you have a vulnerable position because of the difference in knowledge. He took advantage of that. I highly doubt there was a medical reason to touch your nipples in that way. This guy deserves to lose his license. I hope that where you are, you have access to another doctor worthy of trust, and that you have people, or if necessary, therapists to process this situation. I'm sorry this happened to you, and it is not your fault." Update number 2. Thank you to everyone. Reading all of your comments has helped me feel less hateful towards myself and gave me a different perspective on the whole ordeal. Your stories hurt my soul to know that so many of you have been through similar things. I have successfully filed a lawsuit, and now all I can do is await the trial, and I hope to have a good court-appointed lawyer and wish for the best. I've contacted support groups and have a wonderful group of people around me. Take care of each other, and thank you all for listening. Narrator's commentary. I am so glad that OP decided to stand up and do something about this because, like we don't know what country she's in, but like she said, it's apparently very hard to win lawsuits against doctors. I don't know if she just meant that in like a malpractice sense or something like that. I mean, I don't know if she has much in the way of proof on top of the already difficult process of like winning against doctors, but I'm willing to bet that she was not the first person that doctor took advantage of. For all we know, this guy probably has multiple complaints on his record. I don't know, but I applaud OP, and hopefully that works out, and maybe we'll get an update down the line and see what happens, because that stuff's difficult to speak out, because once you come forward, people kind of scrutinize you and say, well, you're lying, you're this, you're that, or something like that, so I applaud OP. But anyway, next story. Story number 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she's overreacting to walking in on her son? I, 48M, have been dating my girlfriend Kelly, 50F, for nearly 2 years. We are currently on vacation with her son Ryan, 23M, and his girlfriend Emily, 23F, as well as my sister, brother-in-law, niece, and her boyfriend. To preface this, I know Ryan very well. I've known him for nearly a decade now. I was his coach in high school, and we grew very, very close. He is practically a son to me. He's also been dating Emily since high school. When we were planning this trip, Kelly said that Ryan wasn't allowed to share a room with Emily. I thought she was joking, but she was not. I know Ryan is sexually active, and I've known by word of his mouth since he was a teenager. I said fine, and the technical plans were that Ryan and my niece's boyfriend would share a room, and my niece and Emily would share a room. Obviously, that room arrangement wasn't going to last. Everything was fine with the technical room arrangement. The girls even had a slumber party one of the first nights. Ryan picked up that this was just to appease Kelly. I handed him his keys and I said, give the second one to whoever, and he immediately gave it to Emily. My niece did the same thing, giving her spare key to her boyfriend. This is exactly what everyone thought would happen. Anyway, somehow Ryan had left his wallet in our room last night, and instead of bringing it to him at breakfast, or knocking on his door, or even shooting him a text message, my girlfriend Kelly used the key to walk into his room, and she saw things that she didn't want to see. To be fair, they weren't having sex. What was described to me was that they were both nude, covered up at least on their bottom halves, but they were snuggled up and he was running his fingers on her back. This sounds like how most loving couples are after having sex. She was in hysterics and she refused to come to breakfast. I told her that was fine, but she wasn't going to make this a big deal on our vacation. Emily very sweetly apologized to me and said she knows how Kelly can be, which frankly made me feel terrible. When I went to retrieve Kelly from the room, she was still in a mood. She expressed to me how upset she was, and I told her to be thankful that all she saw was the snuggling and not the actual act. That made her really upset, and I told her she was overreacting. Ryan is an adult who's been with the same woman for years. She's confided in me before that she doesn't like Emily, but frankly, I've never seen her do anything wrong. She is a bit punky, and Ryan is a bit more preppy, but she's a sweet person who cares deeply for Ryan and vice versa. But she called me every name in the book when I told her she was overreacting. She called him a child and accused me of taking Emily's side over her. I am genuinely concerned. I've even considered the possibility that she forgot to bring some mood-regulating medication because I have never seen her act like this, and I'm being shunned by her for being an a-hole. Currently, we're all sitting on the beach while Kelly mopes inside. Edit. I want to add some relevant information that I have seen asked in the comments. So, Ryan and Emily live together and have for, I want to say 5 years. Ryan paid for his and Emily's portion of this trip. When Kelly brought up them not sharing a room as I was booking it, I thought she was joking and just laughed. It wasn't until we were checking in and I was passing out the key cards that she reminded me of what she said. And at that point, instead of arguing about it in the lobby, I said fine and handed people their keys and told them to do whatever they want. I just wanted to drink and to eat some fruit on the beach. Also, she is in therapy and is aware of her unhealthy attachment to her son. She does take medications for mood regulation. However, I'm not sure if she actually currently has them. I think that's all for now, and if I see anything else, I will add it. I'm sorry I can't get to all of the comments, there's a lot of them, and I'm on vacation. Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, not the a-hole. Yes, she is overreacting. Ryan is far from being a child. He's a 23-year-old man and has been in a stable relationship for at least 5 years. Your girlfriend shouldn't even have been trying to police them via the room assignments in the first place. Yeah, he is definitely not a child. They've been dating for closer to 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, and I agree. It was a bit odd to me, and I suppose I should have questioned it more at the time as opposed to just shrugging it off. Then user 2 commented and said, "Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend sounds like a bit of a nut job with no respect for her son. Hopefully this is a one-off thing, but considering Emily said, 'I know how Callie can be,' I am guessing it is not. Hold firm on this one. Defend Ryan and Emily as much as you have to. They did nothing wrong and should feel zero guilt, embarrassment, or any other negative feelings for this. She's usually pretty great, though she's been cold, albeit polite towards Emily for as long as I've been around. I'm not sure if something happened, but they don't get along well. With that being said, I do think I will stick up for them on this one. I don't think I'm going to waver. This was uncomfortable for them too, and I don't want their time to be ruined because of it." Then user 3 commented and said, "She returned the wallet that way so that she could catch them doing it and she could feel wronged and offended." Then OP elaborated on if his girlfriend is overly attached to her son and said, "I don't think she's ever used the word stealing, but she did get into an argument with him maybe a year or so ago about how all he does is spend time with Emily. I can't be certain, though I doubt that argument was the first of its kind." Then user 4 commented and said, "It's called enmenishment. Go over to the Just No Mill subreddit and read the pinned reading resources." And finally, user 5 commented and said, "Not the a-hole. Callie sounds like the child in this situation, throwing a little temper fit because she isn't getting her way. Her son is an adult. He has sex. She needs to get over herself and let her adult son be an adult and make his own decisions. Callie is controlling and obsessive and needs to stop because she is destroying her relationship with her son. And if he marries Emily, she's destroying her relationship with her future daughter-in-law. And what's going to happen when they have kids? Do you think Kelly is going to be welcomed into Emily's home to see her grandkids after Kelly treats her like an S-word and a pariah? Probably not." Update. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who commented. I appreciate the helpful comments and was entertained by the less helpful ones. Even if I didn't reply, I did read every single one. Before I get started, there are a few things I wanted to clear up. I know Kelly is mentally ill. However, in the nearly 2 years we've been together, I never really noticed anything particularly concerning. Her relationship with Ryan has gotten a lot better, both from what I can see and from what Ryan and I have talked about. As for her relationship with Emily, she was never particularly rude to her, but they've also never been close. Kelly is in regular therapy and is medicated for mood regulation. Additionally, I am very careful when it comes to enabling behavior for anyone, including Kelly. The reason I took her comment about them staying in separate rooms as a joke is because I genuinely thought it was a joke. That was a ridiculous statement to make. I was sitting at my desk booking the rooms, she made that comment, I chuckled, and then we started talking about something else. I had no reason to believe that she genuinely felt that way. When she reminded me of her rule in the hotel lobby, I looked at her like she was crazy. She didn't make a scene, and frankly, I was exhausted, so I just gave up and handed people the pairs of key cards and told them to do whatever they wanted, and within the hour, I was asleep on the beach. I spoke to Ryan before anyone else, apologizing on Kelly's behalf. Since I've known him the longest of the younger couple, I figured it would be easier to talk to him. He was surprisingly understanding of the situation and apologized back for me for starting this whole thing, which I let him know was a ridiculous thing to apologize for. And before I even had the chance, he himself brought up emotional incest and said that was something she was really bad about when he was a teenager and still needed to work on now that he was an adult out of the house. I then spoke with Emily, and the conversation went similarly. Ryan has always been very strict on his boundaries surrounding how his mother treats Emily, usually leaving her alone for a few days or weeks until she's able to be respectful towards her again. When I asked them both if they knew why Emily was disliked by Kelly, neither of them knew exactly why. Emily did suggest that the night before Ryan moved out, Kelly had walked in on them actually having sex. Her reaction was more extreme than this one. They had just graduated high school, meaning Ryan was about 3 months from 19 and Emily was newly 18. This argument caused him to move in with Emily's family, which according to Ryan was extremely tough for Kelly. That event practically thrust her into needing to deal with her attachment issues and trauma because Ryan told her he would no longer be in contact with her unless she started going to therapy and working on herself. The day of the post, Kelly was able to get an emergency appointment with her therapist. And after that, she had calmed down significantly and I was actually able to talk to her. While the whole talk was far too personal for me to go into detail about, I want to talk about a few points. The first thing I asked was what the actual hell was going on. While her unhealthy attachment for her son is at play, she told me the situation was triggering and sent her spiraling, then referenced the circumstances regarding Ryan moving out, which we had never spoken about before. She has a lot of trauma around being a single mother, and certainly has abandonment issues. Ryan's father was a brief, few-week fling who she thought would want to stay with her to raise a baby, and ended up leaving her alone. Then I decided to ask her why she disliked Emily. At first, she said it was because she was loudmouthed and had Ryan by the balls. I told her to rephrase it in a more productive way, and she said she was opinionated and Ryan would move mountains for her. And while I do adore Emily, she certainly is opinionated, but very intelligent and extremely respectful and polite. Additionally, Ryan hangs off of every word she says. He has told me himself that she's always the most interesting person in the room to him. That's not to say that both of them are perfect. In fact, I saw them bicker about a plate of fruit yesterday, but they are both great together. I told Kelly she should be proud that she raised a son that loves and appreciates his significant other so much that he has openly admitted that he would do anything for her. That lightened up her mood significantly. Funny enough, her therapist suggested that she talk to her primary care doctor or her OBGYN about menopause, which was what another commenter suggested. Her therapist suggested her medication may need to be adjusted if that's the case, as the extreme reaction was frankly out of character, and there have been other mood-related issues that she's been dealing with. Initially, I was not going to ask about what medications that she forgot. As someone who is on antidepressants, whenever I would express rational anger, some toxic people in my life would immediately dismiss it, claiming I haven't taken my meds. I absolutely hate that. With that being said, I decided it was best for me to ask which medication that she forgot. And to no one's shock, it was indeed a mood-regulating medication. Her sister is joining us for the second week, so she will be bringing her medication. Finally, Ryan and Emily had joined us in a conversation. It was filled with a lot of apologies, a little bit of tears, and a surprising amount of hugging. From what I gather, this is not the first conversation of its kind between the three. One thing that was spoken about was how Kelly ended up with Ryan's wallet in the first place. Ryan is not the type of person who forgets his wallet, keys, or phone, or any other personal item. There was a brief argument about whether or not Kelly took his wallet, but she denied this, and Emily suggested it just fell out of his pocket when he laid on the couch. The biggest topic of conversation was Kelly opening the door with no invitation. She was not able to give a rational reason for doing so, and finally agreed with Emily when she said that Kelly just wanted to catch them off guard. Ryan also put Kelly in her place as far as boundaries go, which I have seen him do before, but I am always impressed by it, considering I remember when he felt like he had to just let his mom do whatever she wanted so that she would be happy. Kelly accepted that responsibility and spoke rather openly about her conversation with her therapist, which led to a lot of compassion and understanding from Ryan and Emily. Emily expressed her gratitude for Kelly accepting the responsibility and even suggested they get a drink together. It was generally agreed upon that this entire situation was just ridiculous and that everyone just wanted to enjoy their vacation. Kelly finally gathered herself enough to join us all for our vacation. I feel at ease knowing I can finally actually relax. Since then, our days have been filled with drinks, the beach, good food, and naps, and I couldn't be happier. Now, here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said, "Very well handled, OP, and props to everyone for talking it all out and moving through it." Then User 2 said, "Good on Ryan for setting boundaries, but I feel bad that he's had to deal with an emotionally incestuous mother his entire life, and I hope his therapy is helping him deal with that." Then User 3 said, "Sounds like some things ended relatively well, but I expect this will be a recurring issue for the foreseeable future, especially if she ever forgets her medications again. The fact that she still dislikes Emily because 1, she's opinionated just like Kelly, and 2, Ryan cares deeply for her is a pretty big indicator that the emotional incest is still extremely strong. Based on your post, it still doesn't seem like Kelly realizes that the reason Ryan had to leave the house was because of how controlling and overbearing she was. I would think that after 5 years of therapy, Ryan 18 to 23, that Kelly would be more in control of her actions and emotions related to Ryan and Emily." Then User 4 said, "OP, you seem like a very understanding and thoughtful dude. I feel like you handled this like a professional. No notes, and keep being awesome, my dude." And finally, User 5 commented and said, "She should definitely be proud of the man that she has raised, not battling it. But I get how difficult this situation can be. Glad to hear there's been some levity and love spread throughout here. Makes my heart very warm." Okay, so this story resolved itself pretty well. Everybody came together, everybody hugged and talked and, expressed things that needed to be said. And I think OP did a phenomenal job here. But there's one thing in the beginning that I want to address and make a PSA about. I'm not dunking on the guy, but I'm just using this as an example. He tells the story, then he makes an edit and says, "By the way, I've been getting a lot of questions in the comments. My wife is on heavy medication, in therapy, and has an extreme emotional connection to her son." You didn't think that was relevant beforehand? Again, thankfully he provided the details very quickly, but I'm almost baffled sometimes how these stories can leave out such crucial stuff, not small stuff, crucial crux of the issue stuff, and then it's only brought up after people in the comment section are like, "Hey, what does that mean?" And then they just kind of reveal the biggest issue at play here or the biggest factor. So I'm just baffled by it. People need to learn how to tell stories better. That's what I'm getting at. That's all I want. But anyway, next story. Story number 4. I'm about to show my girlfriend the Blair Witch Project, and I'm going to tell her it's a documentary made by history students looking into an old folktale. Wish her luck. My girlfriend is on her way home to watch the Blair Witch with me. She has never heard of this movie, which has me leaning into the fact that it is a real documentary. She doesn't watch horror movies at all, so we're starting off with a fun one here. I'm just so excited to experience this movie with someone who doesn't know it's a mockumentary. We're all old enough to experience the paranormal activity hype, so at some point she might recognize what she's watching. But either way, it's going to be a fun night. I will update if there is anything noteworthy to say. Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Give us your address, we'll come throw pebbles at your window after you go to bed." Then user 2 said, "Nah, make one of them face the corner so they can't see the other being killed." And then user 3 said, "And make those stick things and leave them hanging in your trees." And then user 4 said, "Just leave a few of them in the trees for when she goes out in the morning." Then user 5 commented and said, "I bought the Plo Keepsy tapes on a blank DVD and told my mom it was a banned documentary that I bought off the dark web." Then user 6 said, I told that to my wife about paranormal activity, that it was a documentary about a couple moving into a new house with a baby, as we had just had one." Then user 7 commented and said, "I'm sorry, but how can you be old enough to have watched Paranormal Activity but not even heard of Blair Witch?" Yeah, she hasn't heard of The Shining, The Thing. Blair Witch fits there. She probably knows Michael Myers, but likely doesn't know if he's Friday the 13th or Halloween. Edit. I swear on my life that this is legit. She's never heard of Psycho, The Thing, or The Shining. She is literally not in tune with horror as a genre. She probably played Michael Myers as a kid growing up, but can't tell you what movie he is from, I'd be guessing. So this is not much of a stretch. If it was Paranormal Activity, it wouldn't work because we were in middle school when that movie was being hyped up. And finally, one user commented and said, "Oh man, if you can find Curse of the Blair Witch to watch beforehand, then she might legitimately get scared." Thank you for this tip. I ended up showing the trailer because Amazon Prime had a small slip-up. When we paused the movie, the actors had their real names, which were the characters' names, but photos from modern day. She asked if they lived, and I showed her the trailer to Curse, and she was like, "Oh, wow, they actually lived?" And I said, "I'm not sure, I guess so." Update next day. Play-by-play during the film. The first half of the film, there is absolutely nothing that gives you the feeling that this might not be real. So it really did suck us in like a modern-day vlog, except it was 90 minutes. We laughed at certain points, and she thought it was wild that Heather was going into the woods with a guy that she never met, and was kind of pissed at Heather for talking over all of the interviewees. Then there were the historical parts of the movie that drew her in, sort of like modern-day Netflix serial killer documentaries. The guy that murdered 7 kids, the one rock in the woods that was the mass grave. She was buying into the mystery. The first night of spooky stuff was so masterfully done. She totally bought it. I went on a long hiking trip a year ago, and I told her sleeping out in the woods is scary because you can hear every little sound animals make. So she bought into the reality of how creepy it was for them. As the film ramped up and the fighting between the crew happened, she bought all of that. And the map. Oh my god, she ate that up so well. She was like, "What a jerk." That was the point where I was like, this is going to work, isn't it? When Josh went missing, she was on the edge of her seat and terrified, wondering how they could still be filming. The scariest part for her was the bundle of twigs with Josh's bloody organ, or whatever was in there. She held it together so well, but reacted in a, "what is that?" type of way. By the end, the house stuff, she was so tense. And the last shot where Mike is standing at the corner and the camera drops, she was like, "what do you think was wrong with him?" After the film, the first thing she said to me was, "this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. I don't want to see anything like that ever again." And I asked her what was so terrifying, and she told me the mystery of just not knowing, having felt some evil had been involved. She is somewhat spiritual and wants to believe in some of these weird unknown creatures, even ghosts, so this was sort of in line with that belief. A Redditor commented that I should show her Curse of the Blair Witch, and I did show her the trailer, which validated that the characters did die in the movie. After talking about how effective the movie was, I told her it wasn't real. It was a marketing gimmick that worked on everyone in 1999. She called me mean, but also said that she wouldn't have been scared if she knew it wasn't real, so she liked it overall. What movie should I show her next? I'm thinking of The Shining. She loves isolation in the cold mountains type YouTube vlogs, and I think that would be perfect. But the TLDR is, we're still together, everything went well, and we ended up watching Ratatouille afterwards. It was a really incredible experience because it's not often you get to experience something the first time with someone. It reminded me when I introduced my Indian friend to Michael Jackson and the Beatles, or my young nephew to Star Wars.
Okay, y'all, so let me be real with you. First off, this is a great story. I love it. It's funny, but I have never watched anything Blair Witch. I can't even watch horror, okay? Your narrators, I'm gonna tell you right now, Kevin is scared of horror, okay? I'm so bad with it. I watched The Black Phone when it came out in theaters a few years ago, and I screamed when a guy's head got chopped off or like hit with an axe. I have never screamed in a movie theater. I can barely do thriller, so I cannot do horror. I'm sorry, but I'm a coward. Anyway, next story. Story number 5. Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's bachelorette party? I have been sober for 1 year after abusing drugs and alcohol for 6 years. Getting sober has truly changed my life. I rarely talk about my sobriety to others since I don't want to be annoying and because it is no one else's business. The only time I talk about it is when it is relevant. My friend is getting married in September and I am a bridesmaid. This weekend she had a bachelorette party. It was a bachelorette party weekend and she had gotten an Airbnb for us. I was also the only one with a driver's license and car, this is relevant, and she knew me while I was a drunk, and she saw me recover and has, or I thought, never judged me, only supported me. I don't mind if people around me drink or do drugs. It is their life, it is their choice. I didn't know anyone at her party, but I still had a fun time on the first day. While everyone was getting drunk on Friday, I was just drinking my Coca-Cola. We were dancing, listening to music, and playing a drinking game. It was while we were playing the game that people tried to give me shots and asking why I wasn't drinking. I just told them I didn't feel like drinking tonight, and blamed it on that, and that I had a long traveling day. The next day, during brunch, people were drinking mimosas, and I was just drinking orange juice, and again, I was asked why I am not drinking. I knew I would get asked this, and I had talked to my friend before this weekend, and I decided this would be the perfect time to mention that I am sober and I don't drink. Some people asked me why, and I didn't want to go into the details of it, since I didn't want to ruin the mood, so I said it's because of health reasons. Later that evening, I was drinking some soda and went to go to the bathroom. When I came back, I took a sip of my drink, and they had put vodka in my soda. I spit it back out and asked who put it in my drink. I was upset about this, but I wasn't crying or causing a scene. I just thought maybe someone didn't know that this was my drink. One of my friends said that she did, and it was an accident. I didn't get mad because accidents happen. However, there was a little voice in my head telling me it was intentional. I shortly went back outside to smoke a cigarette and to call my boyfriend. I had walked behind the house, and my friend and the 2 others came outside to also smoke. I guess they didn't see me since they talked about what had happened. My friend said she thought it was lame that I came and that she misses the old drunk me, that she hoped this spike would make me relapse. I was listening in shock. I thought I knew this girl. For F's sake, I am one of her bridesmaids. I have known her for 8 years. I walked to the front of the house, looked at them, and went inside. They all looked shocked since they didn't know I was listening. I packed my things and drove off. I didn't say a single thing to them before I left, but they saw me leave. I decided not to block her on social media so that she can have a chance to explain herself and say sorry. Instead, I got a long message saying how selfish I was, making the whole weekend about me and that I am an a-hole for abandoning them, since I was the one that drove everyone there. So, am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's bachelorette party? Edit.
Thank you all for the responses. I'm obviously not going to be friends with someone like her or participate in her wedding. She's been talking crap about me to our friends, and I've been receiving a lot of crappy messages from them. She told people that I didn't like them drinking and was trying to ruin the night and that I just abandoned them. Keep in mind, they could very easily get from that place with public transportation or taxi. Me driving them was me being nice to them. I have also debated about messaging her fiancé and telling him some stuff about her. He is also sober himself, not due to substance abuse but due to health, and I don't think he would like what she did to me. Also, they had agreed on not having any strippers, which she did have, and when we were out, she was flirting with other people. I think that this is one of the reasons why I think she did it, since I said something about it. Maybe I shouldn't have interfered, but in my eyes, she seemed drunk, and I didn't want her to do something that she would regret. I'm still wondering why she misses the old drunk me. I was a crap person when I was drunk. Also, the only reason why I told people I don't drink was because people typically don't accept it when you say that you don't like alcohol, etc. The reason why I haven't blocked her yet is because, in my experience, it gets under people's skin more to not be blocked. She also messaged me more since I left, but I can't be asked to read all her bullcrap. Also, I will be making a post on social media if she doesn't stop spreading lies about me. Getting sober saved my life, and I am forever grateful and happy that I chose sobriety. I have also upped my therapy sessions, just in case this makes me spiral. Update. I made a post 4 days ago about how I left my friend's bachelorette party after they put alcohol in my drink, even though I am sober. I thought I would update anyone who is curious on what happened, and let's just say it was a very eventful 24 hours. I needed to take a few more days to digest and reflect on everything that happened. I also wanted to talk to my therapist first to see what she thought I should do, and we decided on that I should message the fiancé, since if I was him, I would want to know the same, as I would have either way told him about the cheating. I do not condone cheating, and it turns out it wasn't the first time she did that. Here's what I wrote. Hi, Paul. I know this might be weird since I'm sure by now you know that I left last weekend, but I wanted to talk to you about it. As you know, I have been sober for over 1 year now, and while we were at the bachelorette party, Olga put vodka in my drink. I didn't realize it until I took a sip of it. I had asked them who did it, and Fiona said she did it on accident. However, when I went outside to smoke, I overheard them saying it wasn't an accident, and that they did it on purpose. My boyfriend heard the whole thing, and you can ask him if you don't believe me. I also wanted to let you know that they did get strippers, and I attached photos of that, and that she was very friendly to some men that we met at the club, and I attached photos of her touching the arm of a man at the club. Then I said, I wanted you to know because I don't find her behavior like that okay, and I do not support it. I also wanted you to know that I will not be attending your wedding, and I wish you the best. Then he saw the message and blocked me a few hours later. I also decided on confronting her. I am the kind of person who prefers to do things face to face. Me messaging her ex was something I did because I felt like it would be weird if I showed up to his place. However, I know where and when she works, and I waited outside of her work, which I know is creepy, but I know she would not want to do this conversation face to face. Eventually, I asked her if we could talk, and she said yes. This was a 1 hour long conversation, so I will summarize it. I told her how much it hurt me that she spiked my drink on purpose, and that I could go to the police with this. I said it was childish of her going to our mutuals spreading lies about me. I told her that she is a coward for not admitting to what she did. And lastly, I told her I did not have any interest in being her friend anymore, and I will not be attending her wedding. She was very quiet during the conversation. She listened to everything I had to say. She said she was sorry and that she felt like ever since I got sober, I was boring because all I talk about is sobriety, which I don't do, and that me telling her friends I am sober took the attention away from her, that I shouldn't have done that. And I told her before we went up that I would tell people that I am sober for health reasons if it were to come up. And then I told her she has every right to feel this way, but it doesn't justify what she did to me. I ended the conversation with that I wish her the best, and I hope she gets the help that she needs. And then I left. And after this, I sent the message to her ex. I found out that her fiancé did end the relationship, and that this isn't the first time she has done something like this. Turns out she has several times poured alcohol into her fiancé's drinks, always saying it was an accident, and that she has cheated before. She did bombard me with messages saying how horrible I am, how selfish I am, that I would end my life, blah, 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 blah. I blocked her and she is out of my life now. As for me, I am okay, and I had another therapy session today, just in case this has triggered me. Thank you all to the people who commented on my last post with advice. I don't know why I thought I was the a-hole.
Then in the comment section, some users told OP that flirting is not cheating and that she sabotaged her friend's wedding and relationship. Flirting is cheating in my opinion, and I probably should have clarified, but I did not film her. We had a group chat and the photos and videos were sent there. I just saved them. Wouldn't you want to know if the person you love, the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, was acting like that? And it wasn't just the fact that my drink was spiked, it was that she couldn't own up to it. That it wasn't an accident, it was on purpose. I am a recovering alcoholic. Spiking my drink could have made me relapse. Then OP replied to another comment and said, I get what you're trying to say. I was also concerned that if I messaged him, I would only do that to get back at her. This is why I spoke to my therapist beforehand, why I agreed with her what I was going to say, and why I took a few days to reflect on it. If I really wanted to get back at her, I could have done it in many other ways. However, he deserves to know the truth, and as it turns out, it wasn't the first time she had done something like that. Wouldn't you want to know if your partner did that, or would you be okay with your partner flirting with other people? I didn't want revenge. If I wanted revenge, I wouldn't have just broken up their relationship. I didn't just move on afterwards because I wanted to give her the chance to explain herself. I thought maybe she did that just to show off to her friends, that she didn't actually mean it. I knew I wasn't going to be friends with her again, but I hoped we could still be friendly since we have mutuals, etc. That is also one of the reasons why I didn't block her. Another was, and you and I stated it, to get under her skin, because people expect to be blocked in situations like that. I also don't think I'm an angel of God. I was a horrible person, and to some people, I probably still am. However, I am trying my best to change it. My conflict was whether I was the a-hole for just leaving them without an explanation and without a ride. I didn't come to the internet to get validation to end her relationship. I came to the internet to get a non-biased opinion and advice. I guess that is what you are giving me, so I will take it into consideration. I was either way planning on asking my therapist about it. What I did wasn't a good deed. I participated in breaking up two people, or at least gave him the final straw. What I did was to clear my conscience, and because I felt like he deserved to know. If now my drink wasn't spiked, I would have still called him, and that is what led me to believe it was the right thing to message him. I probably then would have told him at a different time. Edit. I also did it face-to-face because I found it to be important that she could see my face. In general, I find face-to-face conversations so much better. Things through messages can be misinterpreted and cause more drama and issues. Maybe I should have rather done it over FaceTime, since I know that waiting outside of her work was a bit creepy. So I got a few things to say on this story. First and foremost, I do not think OP is an a-hole for wanting to leave, and I don't think she's an a-hole for playing her part in the relationship ending. Because let's be honest, that guy was going to find out eventually. He kept spiking her fiance's drinks several times and saying oopsie daisy about it. It's like that knife story we read a few days ago, but with just alcohol. And then also, she was flirting, and for some people, flirting is cheating, some people it's not, but like OP mentioned, she's cheated before anyway, so she's definitely crossed that line, regardless if you think cheating, or regardless if you think flirting is cheating or not. And finally, as somebody who also does not drink, I'm not a recovering alcoholic, I've just never had an interest in doing so. If people keep pressuring you about it, screw them, forget them. 9 out of 10 times for me at least, most people get it. I say I don't drink, and that's fine. And then 1 out of 10 times, there's just that one person who won't take I don't drink as an acceptable answer, and they keep pushing you about it. I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna push you away. Bye, I'm out, I'm gonna go drink some water. Anyway, next story. Story number 6. Will I be the a-hole for refusing to buy a late birthday gift for my son's classmate? I have 3 kids, 8M, 5M, and 1F. My younger son is friends with a classmate that I will call Mikey. Mikey's brother James is in the same class as my older son, but they are not friends. Back in March, the boy's mother informed the class mom group chat that James had the flu, and his birthday party would have to be canceled. My older son had not been invited to that party. My wife and I didn't even know about it until she saw the text message, but since my son wasn't friends with James, we didn't mind it. My younger son just got his invitation to Mickey's birthday party, which will take place in the first week of June. On it, there is a reminder to bring an additional gift for James. Both me and my wife were confused. When we asked the parents about it, they said that since James didn't get to have his friends over for his own birthday, they wanted his friends to have the opportunity to give him gifts during Mikey's party. Again, my older son is not friends with James and would not have been invited to his canceled party, so we were never planning on giving him a gift in the first place. We didn't even know it was his birthday. Even if we were buying him a gift, we'd give it to him on some other occasion, not during his younger brother's party. It doesn't feel fair to Mikey.
Mikey. Once my wife and I agreed on that, we informed the boys' parents that we wouldn't get a gift for James. We told them all our reasons, but they argued that we were being petty and vindictive, and that it was unfair to deprive James of a birthday gift just because our son doesn't like him. From what I can gather, that is not the case. Their mother is threatening to uninvite my younger son from Mikey's party over this. Their father is less harsh, but still thinks we should reconsider our decision. So, will I be the a-hole? Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said,
So, for starters, you are most definitely not the a-hole here. And the parents are incredibly strange and entitled for this. However, it makes me feel badly for both of their children. It is not you and your wife's job to provide gifts for the older child, but I would look at it like this. How important is Mikey to your child? Could you spare even a small gift for the other child, even if it's from the dollar store so your son could spend time with a friend who is important to him? It makes me feel like the children are not treated right by their parents, and it makes me feel sad to see this kind of behavior from them. But no, you are not wrong.
While I wouldn't say money is a problem here, we're not made of it. My daughter turned 1 weeks ago, and we'll have family coming over from our home country in July, so we're trying not to spend too much. Even if I looked for an inexpensive birthday gift, I have no idea what James likes, and neither does my son. I also would not give it to him during Mikey's birthday party. I know it was their parents' decision, but if I wouldn't do it to my own kids, I would not do it to theirs. Then user 2 commented and said,
OP, are they also inviting your older son to the party? Is he getting food and cake as well? Then maybe a gift is fair to offset the costs of him as a guest.
My older son is not invited to the party, only my younger son. And finally, user 3 commented and said,
Not the a-hole. Super weird. You literally couldn't pay me $1 million to be in a classroom mom group chat.
My wife is in there because they give out information about the school sometimes, but she hates it. Then in the comments section, the consensus was that OP was not the a-hole. Update, 1 month later. The main piece of advice I got when I first posted here, or at least the one that stuck with me the most, was to buy a smaller, inexpensive gift for James. I was more than fine with doing that, but I had no idea what he liked. I also didn't want to give him that gift during his brother's birthday party, as that didn't feel fair to Mikey. My wife and I talked, and we settled on getting James a gift card to a bookstore. We also had our son give him his gift at school days before the party. He said James was grateful. Later that day, the boys' mom texted the mom group chat saying she didn't want people cheaping out on James just because it wasn't his birthday. My wife agrees that it felt targeted, but we can't prove anything. Either way, we've given him a gift, and we don't need to indulge in this any more than we already have. We'll just complain to each other. Our younger son wasn't uninvited from the birthday party. I was working, so my wife took him. According to her, the party was clearly Mikey's. The only thing indicative otherwise was the fact that James opened his gifts during it. My wife said she avoided their parents, but did get a few dirty looks from them, especially when Mikey opened the gift that my son had picked out. It was a Spider-Man toy car that he thought Mikey would like. We bought it before this whole fiasco. Since we actually know Mikey, it was more personal than the gift card. I still don't understand a single decision the boys' parents made, but I'm glad my son's friendship is intact. I just hope my wife and I don't need to interact with that family too much in the future. Thank you all. Now here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said,
I can't believe you actually gave a gift and went to the party. This is ridiculous and disgusting that they would even write on the invite to bring the sibling a gift. I would have not have went and kept my family away from that crap storm.
We didn't want to upset our son. He wanted to go to the party, so we let him. Whatever problems we had with James and Mikey's parents are none of his concern. Then user 2 commented and said,
I know people recommended that at the behest of the children, but it feels like you've taught their parents that the behavior was okay. Why wouldn't the kids who were going to the other boys' party not go to this new one? Why didn't they just throw a combined birthday for both of them where each friend brought a gift for the person they were going to originally? Also, the entire message of don't cheapen out would have had me cancel going altogether. Now neither of their children get a gift, and they get to miss out on my kid at their party. I'll take my kid out somewhere fun with the money that we would have wasted on their brats.
As much as I don't regret getting James a gift, I'm very upset at his parents. The kids didn't deserve any of this. So, what do you guys think about this story and the comments that we just read? I don't know. For me, I feel like the kids kind of come first here, but unfortunately, there's the obstacle of the parents and their bad behavior. For me, that's the thing that keeps coming into the forefront of my mind here. If I were a parent, like, that is my kid, that is his friend, and he's not
not an adult, right? So, like, in a way, who he hangs out with, I have control over. So, in a way, I would be a jerk if I took my friend away from my kid because that could rupture the friendship in some sort of way. So, it's unfortunate, but I don't know. For me, at least, the kid comes first. So, I guess I'll have to agree to mommy and daddy's BS rules or whatever it is they want. Anyway, next story. Story number 7. Am I the a-hole for getting angry at my M29 girlfriend F28 for hiding that she speaks Spanish? My family is from Mexico, but I was born in the US. I'm the only one in my family who doesn't speak Spanish. All my extended family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, etc., speak it, but I never really cared for it that much. Katia, my girlfriend, knows I am Mexican, and she asked if I spoke Spanish. But when I said no, she didn't push, which I found refreshing. Usually people ask a lot of questions. She never said that she spoke Spanish, but I remember her watching something and hearing Spanish, but I figured she had subtitles on. If it's important, Katia is from Germany. She and I have been together for 3 months. It's not long, but it's been intense. My grandmother had a birthday on Saturday, and my family threw her a huge party. I invited Katia to come along with me, as it would be a perfect time to meet my family, and they're always very welcoming. Katia agreed. When we got there, everyone switched to English to speak to Kati, but they quickly went back to Spanish. I went to grab a beer and came back to find Katia talking to my aunt in Spanish. I came over and played it cool, telling her I didn't know she spoke it, yada yada yada. When Katia was with me, she spoke English, but whenever she spoke to one of my family members alone, she switched because they switched. It made me really uncomfortable, especially since it wasn't your typically barely broken Spanish, it was full-on fluent Spanish, and she understood my fast-speaking relatives. I got really annoyed with her, but I didn't say anything. My grandma told me how much she loved Katia and how she's happy I found such an amazing girl. All my family loved her and couldn't stop singing praises about her. On our way back, I got really angry with her, and when we got to my apartment, I told her that I feel betrayed that she hid that she spoke Spanish and how she made a fool of me out there. I admit I was shouting because I was so angry. I felt humiliated. She asked me to calm down and told me she never hid anything. I accused her of sneakily making her way into my family instead of having them warm up gradually. She asked if I was being serious, and I confirmed. She called me a jerk and left my apartment, and I was too angry to stop her. I am waiting for her to call me with apologies, but she hasn't been in touch since Saturday night. I told my brother about it, and he told me I am a fool, but I feel really disrespected by Katia. So, am I the a-hole for getting angry and shouting that she hid that she spoke my language? Then in the comments section, the consensus was that OP was the a-hole. New post. Am I the a-hole for demanding my sister stops being friends with my ex because it's betrayal? I've had a problem before and I came to this place and got a reality check. And now I have a problem with another person and need to know who the a-hole is. I broke up with my girlfriend for the second time a few weeks ago. We've had some issues that we couldn't get past, so we decided to end it. But during that time, we were together, my sister, F26, and my ex, F28, became best friends. I thought that once we broke up, my sister, Floor, will stop seeing my ex, Katia. I didn't ask her, I just assumed because that's what family does. You don't stay in touch with your brother's ex. It's been a few weeks, and I haven't heard from Katia, and my sister hasn't mentioned her either. Just yesterday, I drove to my sister's house because she offered me some canned food and homemade jars of veggies and jams. Money's been tight, so I took her up on her offer. We didn't plan for me to come by at a specific hour, so I just came when I had the time. When I got inside, my brother-in-law let me in. I was shocked to find that Katia was there. I thought she was there for me, and I told her up front to not beg to get back with me, because it ain't happening. She looked at me and told me that she'd never want to get back with me, and said that she's here for Floor and that they're having a pizza movie night. I got really angry. I asked my sister what the hell she thought she was doing, that she is betraying her own blood by staying friends with her, and that she must stop being friends with Katia because it's unacceptable, and I'll tell our family that she's betraying us. She told me that our family knows and to stop being a baby. She's not going to listen to me. My brother-in-law came to see what was going on, and when he found out, he called me an a-hole and kicked me out. On my way out, I told my sister that if they broke up, I would never be friends with my brother-in-law and that she is an awful sister. My mother just called me and told me to get a grip and grow up.
I also got a phone call from my cousins and aunts. My sister basically told our whole family. I genuinely thought I was right, but everyone's been on my case, so I wanted to check who's the a-hole, my sister or I, so I know how to continue. So, am I the a-hole for demanding that my sister is not friends with my ex?
Oh boy, you guys already know. Y'all already know. So, where do you start? OP says at the start that he had no interest in learning to speak Spanish, which is fine. You don't need to. It's not written anywhere. It's, a good thing to always learn more languages. But then he's insulted because later he said that he was mad that Katya betrayed him by speaking my language. Bro, what? This guy's acting like nobody can learn Spanish and it is forbidden. Also, it seems like everybody loved Katya, and then he's like, oh, my grandma and everyone loved her. I hate her. Oh my god, this guy is so stupid. No, you embarrassed me. You betrayed me. We're supposed to be ignorant together. And then about the thing with his sister being friends with his ex, sometimes you probably shouldn't, just dependent on the way that things end. But OP is so stupid. He's the worst character on the sitcom here. So I'm not against the sister and the ex being friends together, because OP is so dumb. Oh my god. You already know. You guys already know what's wrong with this guy. But anyway, folks, we are at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a really good day, and adios. Bye-bye.